Okay, I really like Sakal. I think the terrain itself is really good. I don't think I would change anything, but the main problem with the map is the flow. Something is just very off about it. Has anybody else felt this way? I've been trying to figure out what it is exactly and what they could add and change to make it feel better. But it just recently hit me. Now that I noticed it, it's so obvious, but I haven't heard anybody talk about this. And this is basically the issue, okay? Let's just go look at Namalsk. Okay, this is Namalsk. Now, everybody knows, you know, this northern island is the spawn area, right? We have Lub, we have Vorkuta, we have Jala where people circle jerk in the barn all night. This is the Freshy territory. You know, this is where tier 1 loot is at. And then once you cross over onto this southern island, this is where you start getting up into the mountains. This is where the mission is. This is where the orb is. This is where the needle is. This is where research is. This is where all the PvP goes down. This is the best, most fun part of the map, really. Best looking as well, all these mountains. I'm not saying that Sakal should be exactly like Namalsk. I'm not saying we need orbs and Gauss rifles and space suits and, you know, all that type of stuff. But what the devs should have done with Namalsk is take inspiration from the flow of it. Now, I want you to imagine something, okay? I want you to imagine that the spawn point was actually on the southern beach, down here along this beach. Imagine if that was the spawn zone and this entire southern island here was all like tier 1 freshy loot. This is freshy zone, but the northern island here was actually where everything goes down. All the PvP, all the tier 3 guns, helicopter loot, you know, the orb, A2, research. Imagine if it was all over here. Imagine you spawned by the mountains and you were pulled downward onto this somewhat of a, you know, flat, boring island. And, you know, just boring in terms of like, you know, compared to the south, compared to the mountains and the snow and everything. Imagine you were pulled off of all that and everything from the south was actually up here. Wouldn't that be so weird? Wouldn't that completely change the entire map? Well, that is actually exactly what Sakal is. It is Namalsk's flow in complete reverse. Okay, let's just forget about these other islands here for a second. Forget they exist. Okay, let's just look at the mainland and the peninsula, okay? This is the epiphany that I had recently. The peninsula actually should have been the spawn zone. And again, I'm not saying that I want it to be exactly like Namalsk. I think the simplicity of Namalsk's spawn zone makes for really fun player encounters and team ups and everything like that. I'm not saying they should have made it an exact replica, but you know, maybe like a main town up here, a main town down here, and like a city in the middle. Or maybe like a main, you know, a town here, a village here, a little refugee here, another main town here, and then like a city here at the end. There's all this ice here. Maybe add like a couple little islands here, you know, there. Make it to where you don't have to take the land bridge to get to the mainland. You can cross over the ice, and these little islands added in between the ice can make your trip across the water a little more bearable. You know, maybe you got to stop for a fire, dry off, maybe you fell in the water. And then natural progression could be you either go to the airfield here or the city then airfield or airfield then city. And then the natural progression could lead you up right in the middle between these. There's a military base up on top of a mountain about right here somewhere. And this is the geothermal plant, which almost has no point in existing for some reason. I would have made the briefcase keys spawn here. And then instead of putting the dead scientist with the briefcase on the volcano, I would have put him on one of these mountains over here on the right side. So you go and you find a dead scientist on the side of a mountain, and then you get the glow plug from that, and then you go up to the volcano, which is where I would have wanted to put the bunker. The volcano entrance is at the top of the volcano, and you have to expose yourself going up the giant volcano because there's no cover, there's no trees on it. That's the trade-off to get there. You have to expose yourself. Imagine the fights that would go on the volcano, or just, you know, anything like that. I mean, maybe you put the keys in the geothermal plant, but keep the briefcase at the volcano, but then make the bunker over here in the mountains, make like a cave bunker or something. You enter on the side of a mountain and there's like another end and you can exit out a different side of a different mountain or something, you know? Wouldn't this just make so much more sense? These huge mountainscapes and everything, this is where I don't want to have to leave. This is where I want to go. A lot of people are just grabbing the briefcase and just going straight to the bunker because the mainland doesn't really have very good loot. The best stuff you can find on the mainland is pretty much just hunting rifles like Mosins, Savannas, Tundras. That's basically it. You know, this is just my opinion. You know, maybe some people disagree. If you do, I'd like to hear about it. I'd like to hear maybe your side of the story. What do you think about this? Are you more motivated to start in a place like this and then progress your way to a place like this? Or the other way around? Would you feel more motivated to start in a place like this and progress your way to something like this? I also want to add in a few more things about the content of the map. So personally, I think the whole boat thing wasn't really worth the effort of bringing them into the game. So far, they're just kind of boring in my opinion. I don't know. I don't want to spend like 20 minutes driving on a boat. You know, I think it probably sounded a lot better on paper. But you know what would have been so much more fun? If they had said, screw the boats, let's put time and effort into four-wheelers. Can you imagine how much more fun this would be? Driving this around the mountains and stuff? Yeah, it's probably not safe. You'd probably get gunned down really easily on one of these things. But imagine you put like a player on the back and they can actually, you know, aim around and shoot off the back though. Like, can you just... Like, doesn't that just sound so much better than just driving those boats out to an island that's like freaking 20 miles away? I think they should have did that. I think this would have been a lot more fun, a lot more cool. And in terms of the volcano, I think they should have added some kind of event where, can you imagine if the volcano would have these events where it would erupt in this poisonous ash? Imagine if they took the new snow animation and they replaced those snowflakes with like black and gray ash, and it was a ash blizzard, right? And you had to take shelter, or you could put a gas mask on to protect yourself from it, and it goes away in like a minute or two. You know, I think that would be kind of cool. I don't know. Imagine somewhere like, I don't know, down here on the southwest side or the northeast side of the map here, there was some kind of like actual deep, intricate cave system where there was some really good loot inside of it, but it was also a wolf den and it was full of wolves and maybe even some zombies. And then maybe you go far enough in, there's like a little mini pond of water, you know, kind of like Gollum in Gollum's cave, how he lives off fish. He fishes in that little pond in his cave. Like, imagine you go in there, you can actually fish for food in there, or, you know, these are just ideas off the top of my head, but I think that the addition of these three things would be really cool. Anyways, I just wanted to throw my 2 cents out there. I appreciate you for listening, and I'll catch you later.